I learned how to say goodbye to someone who was still alive. I used to think losing someone meant funerals and last words. I was wrong. Sometimes, you lose someone while they're still breathing, while they're still walking this earth, while they still know your name. I watched you disappear slowly. Not in days. In habits. You stopped calling first. Stopped asking how I slept. Stopped noticing when I went quiet. And I kept telling myself it was nothing. Because admitting the truth felt heavier than the pain itself. I stayed longer than I should have. Not because you asked me to, but because I believed love meant endurance. That if I stayed soft enough, patient enough, quiet enough, you would remember why you chose me. Every night, I lay beside my phone, waiting for a message that never came. I told myself not to expect anything. But hope doesn't listen to logic. It listens to fear. The fear of being forgotten. The fear of being replaceable. The fear that I loved more than I was loved back. You were still there, but your absence had already moved in. It sat between us in conversations, in the pauses, in the way your voice changed when you said my name. I remember the moment I realized it was over. You laughed at something on your screen. While I was telling you I didn't feel okay. You didn't notice. Or maybe you did, and chose not to care. That was the night I stopped begging silently. I didn't cry at first. I felt empty, like something had been taken out of me. Without permission. People think heartbreak is loud. That it screams. That it breaks you in public. But mine was quiet. It happened in private moments. In bathrooms. In mirrors. In the way I learned to swallow my feelings. So I wouldn't seem like too much. I practiced letting go while still holding on. I replied late on purpose. I stopped explaining myself. I started pretending I was okay. Before I actually was. One day, I woke up and realized I hadn't checked my phone all night. And that scared me more than missing you ever did. Because it meant I was finally changing. I didn't leave because I stopped loving you. I left because I started loving myself. Just enough to stop bleeding quietly. Now, when I think of you, it doesn't hurt the way it used to. It feels distant, like a place I once lived, but no longer belonged to. I didn't lose you. I lost the version of myself who thought love meant staying, even when it hurt. And maybe that's the saddest part. Not that you walked away, but that I stayed, long after you were already gone. I thought leaving would feel like relief, like freedom, like finally breathing again. But it didn't. It felt like standing in a room I just burned down, and realizing the smoke was still inside me. The first nights alone were the hardest. Not because I missed you, but because I missed who I was when I believed in us. I kept reaching for my phone out of habit. Not to text you, just to feel less alone. And every time I stopped myself, it felt like saying goodbye all over again. There were things I never said. Not because I didn't know how, but because I knew they wouldn't change anything. I wanted to tell you how much I carried, how often I swallowed my pain, so you wouldn't have to feel uncomfortable. How I learned to shrink myself, so your distance wouldn't feel so obvious. But silence became my language. And in that silence, I started to hear myself again. I noticed how tired I was. Not physically, emotionally. Tired of waiting. Tired of hopping. Tired of loving someone who treated my presence like an option. I started doing small things for myself. Making my bed in the morning. Walking without music. Letting thoughts come and go. Without fighting them. Healing didn't arrive all at once. It came in moments. In realizing I could breathe. Without your name in my chest. In understanding that being alone wasn't the same as being unwanted. Sometimes I still miss you. Not the real you, but the version I imagined. The one who listened. The one who stayed. But I don't chase that version anymore. Because I finally understand. Loving someone doesn't mean abandoning yourself. You were a lesson. A painful one. But an honest one. You taught me that love without effort is just attachment. And attachment isn't enough to build a life on. I don't hate you. I don't wish you pain. I just no longer make room for you. In places you never protected. I'm still healing. Slowly. Quietly. But this time, I'm not disappearing for someone else. I'm staying for me. There are mornings now when I wake up and don't feel heavy anymore. Not happy. Just steady. I used to think peace would feel empty. That without the chaos of us, there would be nothing left. But peace feels different. It feels like not needing to explain myself. Like not rehearsing conversations in my head. Like finally resting from loving someone who never rested in loving me back. I walk through my days slower. I notice small things again. The way sunlight hits the floor. The sound of my own footsteps. The quiet comfort of being alone. Without feeling abandoned. Sometimes your name still appears in my thoughts. Not as a wound. More like a memory that has softened around the edges. It doesn't pull at me anymore. It just exists. I've stopped asking myself what I could have done differently. I've stopped replaying every moment, looking for the exact second it all went wrong. Because some endings aren't caused by mistakes. They happen because two people grow in different directions, and one refuses to turn back. I didn't fail at loving you. I loved honestly, completely, and that was never the problem. The problem was staying, where love had stopped being returned. Now, when I sit in silence, it doesn't feel like punishment. It feels like space. Space to breathe. Space to feel. Space to become someone who doesn't need to beg to be chosen. I don't know who I'll be next. I don't rush toward the future. I just let it come. If someone enters my life again, I want it to be gently, without confusion, without fear, without the need to disappear to keep them comfortable. I want to love. That feels like calm, not like survival. And if that love never comes, I know now, I will still be okay. Because I have learned something important. Being alone is painful. Only when you don't know how to be with yourself. I do now. And that's how I know. This story isn't about losing you anymore. It's about finding me. In the quiet you left behind.